to be under the sea, when an octopus is gone with you.
See, I'm surprised he's even talking at this time of the morning after undertaking 40 dives in 10 days just off Bali. How are you, Steve Coutts?
Good morning, Simon. I was almost put back to sleep with your music.
I used to share a house with Me Nut Uncle Dave, the singer of that band.
Oh, very nice.
Yes, I could tell you stories that we can't say on the radio, but there we go. Yeah, 40 dives in 10 days. You must be exhausted.
Pretty much I need a holiday after the holiday.
And I want to find out in future times what a dry suit is. But right now, over the next couple of weeks, we're going to go through those popular diving and underwater spots around Sydney. And we're starting in My Hood and Bidjigal Land, Bear Island, La Perouse.
That's correct. So Bear Island down in La Perouse, it's actually a massive dive site and obviously very popular with tourists as well who come to see the fort. But it actually covers over 211,000 metres squared of area, and of that, the island itself is only, from what you see from the surface, is only 10%. So you can imagine that there's this great area that you can explore with lots of, uniqueness to different parts of that island as to where you go and why you go there.
And there are a few ways to actually dive the island, aren't there?
Yeah, a lot of people, if you're kind of standing from the mainland looking out to the island, most people cross the bridge, go down the little stairs, and there's the rock platform.
Yep.
Most people will go in from that rock platform, and it gives a lot of shelter from the swell. So it's quite easy entrance and exits. There's a little kind of slopey part of the rock. A lot of people go down, but that gets quite slippy, or there's a little bit next to it where you can actually kind of just step down the rock ledges. So that's probably where the majority of the schools take their people to train, and also when it's a little bit rougher around other places, that's where you go in from.
I know you can jump in on the east side, but the swell has to be really low, and the landscape under there is fantastic.
It is. It's a combination of big boulders that come down off the island on the west side of the island. Get my bearings right now. The west side's got a big kind of vertical wall drop off, and then you can follow that round, and that goes out to some isolated reefs. It's got boulders where there's lots of life on, like sponge growth. There's bryozoan and hydroids. They all grow off and attach themselves onto the boulders, and that then forms like its own ecosystem as the currents come forward and back every day. They bring their own nutrients, which then those plants and animals feed on, and then that brings other animals into that area to also feed on. So there's a lot of life growth down there, and there's plenty to see as a diver.
The cauliflower soft coral can be seen there.
It can be. It's one of the endangered species on Minister Plibersek's list, and there's a lot of colonies around the west side, right from the corner cave, as we call it, all the way up to the deep wall. And the reason why it flourishes there is because of those currents. So any changes to those currents is going to have a massive impact. And the same thing, any contamination or any sort of environmental issues are going to come up and down that current. So we're monitoring that very carefully.
You mentioned a dry wetsuit in your email to me. I do dry snorkeling, which means that I just look at the photos that Vicky posts on your Facebook page, and I get to see some fantastic creatures. She's a regular down there.
What are your favourites that she posts?
Oh, she just catches. There was that fish with the face like a classic red Indian. She manages to get all the sort of the gropers, the Indian fish. That's it, the red Indian fish.
That's it. And they've gone missing over the last couple of years because of La Nina and all the fresh water. But they've become started to return now, which is awesome. But there's also other ones like the golden weed fish. We've got the Sydney pygmy pipe horse. We've got different types of anglerfish, blue devilfish, and obviously, for me, got to have a nudie break somewhere, haven't you?
Got to have a nudie break in the mix. You can also see sharks, but not scary ones.
not the scary ones, just wobbegongs or the Port Jacksons come in to mate. But there's also been a lot of fish life. You know, you can at times you'll go under and it gets dark because of all the yellowtail scads that go over your head. And needless to say, if you're lucky, you might even see a little pod of dolphins coming into the bay because they're seen fairly regularly these days.
Logistically, it's got the toilets, the cafes, and those places to sit and have lunch, but parking can be a challenge.
Yeah, summer's especially bad. You know, you can go in the water sort of 7, 8 o'clock in the morning. By the time you get out, there's a queue of people saying, "Are you leaving yet?" And you go, "Mate, I'm still got all my equipment on. Does it look like I'm about to leave just at this moment?" Probably not. But it's there's generally, you know, parking. You just get there early as a diver or water user, and stay your 3 hours or whatever, and then you've had your time and you can give your parking space to someone after you're finished.
It's one of those social events. If we're heading out this weekend, what are the diving conditions like, Steve Coutts?
It's pretty good at the moment. Oceanside 6 to 10 meters, Harbourside 4 to 5, water temp 18 to 19, and that's the reason why I'm not going in, because my dry suit is not as dry as it should be. So that's getting repaired.
Well, that was a question we were all asking in the office this week. What is a dry suit? I'll ask you that another time. And Steve Coutts from the Sydney Underwater Gazette Facebook page. Have a good weekend.
You too. Thank you, Simon.
He's got a dry suit. I do dry snorkeling, which means I look at all those fantastic things under the water from the comfort of my lounge room.